Tired of these niggas, bro. These niggas got my hood looking goofy as hell. Ain't nobody finna make Jaro look any type of way of goofy. Nobody. No motherfucker. Nothing.
Units are in the citywide. We're getting calls. Shots fired. Person 850 East 63rd Street, 850 East 63. Complainant states he heard multiple shots from the location. Didn't see anything. Now we're getting a call of a person shot 63rd and Drexel. Calling reporting a male has been shot next to the gas station. Nothing further. Zone 7. All right, this says the offender is a male black with dreadlocks wearing a white tank top, and the offender was inside of a white Mercedes. That's what we got a ticket saying. The offender was in a white Mercedes, male black dreads, white tank top.
That dispatch was going out at approximately 11:30 in the morning on March 25th, 2026. The calls were coming from South Drexel Avenue in Woodlawn on Chicago's south side. By the time officers arrived, Michael Ricks was in critical condition. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center and pronounced dead. In the drill world, he was known as Jaro City Little Mikey. He was 29 years old, had spent 13 years in prison for an attempted murder case from his teens, and had been home for roughly a year and a half.
As soon as news of his death broke, one question started spreading online. What happened after he came home? Michael Ricks, known as Little Mikey, came out of Jaro City on Chicago's south side, a neighborhood and a set deeply tied to one of drill's longest-running conflicts. On Chicago's south side, specifically in and around the Jaro City set, a faction of the Gangster Disciples based near 62nd and Vernon Avenue.
They was probably the biggest gang in the neighborhood at the time. ABM members were known for making money and throwing wild house parties. A 22-year-old by the name of Jarvis Smith claimed ABM and Cash Out Boys. Jarvis was loved in the neighborhood and was cordial with many members of different sets such as Cash Out Boys, BSG and Outlaws, which were all GD sets, and Dark Side, which was an all BD set. Jarvis's father Lil Jerry ran with Gangster Disciples leader Larry Hoover in the 80s and early 90s. This made Jarvis more popular in the neighborhood. Around 2004, Pocket Town began feuding with Sarkin City. Bodies began dropping and it was time for everyone to pick a side. Jarvis was cool with members from both sides. One guy Jarvis was cool with is a guy who went by the name Lil Les from Pocket Town. Lil Les didn't like when Jarvis got closer to the Sarkin City members. Lil Les was a stone cold killer.
Jaro City takes its name from Jarvis Smith, a member of the neighborhood who was shot and killed in 2005. The set was built around his memory, and it became one of the defining crews in the ongoing conflict that shaped the Chicago drill scene.
Ain't nobody finna make Jaro look any type of way of goofy. Nobody. No motherfucker. Nothing.
To understand what Jaro City means in Chicago, you need to understand the geography. The set operates around 62nd and Vernon Avenue in West Woodland, a South Side neighborhood that sits close to the University of Chicago, but exists in an entirely different reality from it. Woodland has been shaped by decades of disinvestment, gang conflict, and the kind of concentrated violence that produces the drill scene in the first place.
Jaro City is part of a broader alliance that includes STL and EBT factions, all of them historically aligned against O-Block, the Black Disciples faction based out of the Parkway Gardens housing complex near 63rd and King Drive. That rivalry has been one of the defining conflicts of the Chicago drill era, producing music on both sides that documents the war in real time and keeps it visible to an audience far beyond the neighborhoods where it plays out. King Vaughn, who grew up in O-Block and became one of the most internationally recognized voices from that conflict before his death in November 2020, is the name most people outside Chicago associate with that side. When Little Mikey's name began circulating online after his death, and he was immediately labeled as King Vaughn's old op, that war was being referenced. It is a conflict that has been running for years and has taken many lives, and it was the backdrop against which Michael Ricks built his entire identity.
He grew up around figures who later became known names in Chicago drill, reinforcing how deeply embedded he was in that world. He built a second career through a long run of podcast appearances talking about the history of the neighborhood. Little Mikey was embedded in both circles from early on, and his identity was built entirely around Jaro City, its history, its beefs, and the street code that governed everything within it. Jaro City's long conflict with O-Block shaped much of what Little Mikey was known for, which is why his death was immediately framed online through that rivalry. As a teenager, Michael Ricks was convicted of attempted murder and sent to prison. He would not come home for 13 years.
14 years locked in a steel cage for a major attempted murder charge, while the streets whisper about the exact number of bodies attached to his name. During the height of the Southside Gang wars, the record shows Jaro City Little Mikey was a feared frontline shooter who helped build his faction's violent reputation. But the man who went away as a feared enforcer came home to a neighborhood that no longer played by his rules. He survived over a decade behind bars, only to be gunned down in broad daylight, shot 10 times, and stood over at a 63rd Street gas station. He was not by an ancient rival. He was executed in a brutal, calculated backdoor setup by the very people he thought he could trust. Today, we are tearing apart the digital footprint, the gang ties, and the ultimate betrayal of Jaro City Little Mikey to uncover exactly why one of Chicago's most notorious veterans was permanently silenced on the pavement he used to run. To comprehend the sheer magnitude of this assassination, you have to look at the ground Lil Mikey walked on.
Going in as a teenager and coming home 13 years later meant returning to a neighborhood that had changed without becoming safer. With most of your formative years gone, the world around you unrecognizable, and the friends you grew up with either dead, imprisoned, or scattered. The neighborhood you knew changed while you were inside. The beefs you left behind did not pause to wait for you. And the version of yourself that went in, the teenage boy who had not yet fully understood what choices cost, that version no longer existed. The person who walked out was carrying all of it. That weight is not discussed enough when these stories go viral. The framing tends to center on the choices made after release, the music, the interviews, the affiliations maintained, without accounting for what 13 years inside actually does to someone. Lil Mikey went in as a teenager. He came out as a man of 28 who had spent his entire adult life in a system that is not designed to prepare anyone for a different kind of life on the outside.
He lost his mother while he was incarcerated and could not be there for her. He described doing hard time, including segregation, the kind of isolated, stripped-down existence that either breaks people or hardens them in ways that are difficult to undo. The neighborhood he returned to was the same neighborhood that had shaped him before he went in, and the people in it were still living by the same code. There was no support structure waiting for him that could compete with the pull of the only world he had ever known. That is not an excuse for any decision he made after coming home. It is the context that the viral version of this story consistently leaves out, because context does not drive clicks the way a clean cause and effect narrative does. He made choices. Those choices existed inside a much larger set of conditions that the headline does not capture.
In February 2025, Little Mikey sat down with no jumper and talked openly about prison, loss, and returning to the streets. He did not sound like someone trying to separate himself from that world. In the weeks before his death, he was previewing new music, doing interviews, and staying visible in Jaro City circles. He was trying to pick up where he left off. At approximately 11:30 in the morning on March 25th, 2026, Michael Ricks was sitting inside his vehicle in the 6200 block of South Drexel Avenue. Reports indicate the woman he was with had gone inside a nearby gas station. Two male suspects pulled up in a white Mercedes-Benz. An argument broke out between Rick and the men in the vehicle. One of the suspects pulled out a gun and opened fire. Ricks was struck in the chest and in multiple other locations.
Units at 3, we're going to call a fire person 830 63rd Street. Take 3 and Drexel, stand by for simulcast. Units at 3 in the citywide, we're going to call shots fire person 850 East 63rd Street, 850 East 63. Complainant states he heard multiple shots from the location, didn't see anything. Now we're getting a call of a person shot 63rd and Drexel. Callers reporting a male has been shot next to the gas station. Nothing further. Zone 7. This says the offender is a male black with dreadlocks wearing a white tank top, and the offender was inside of a white Mercedes. That's where we got a ticket in. The offender was in a white Mercedes, male black dreads, white tank top. All right, and then we got another ticket says it's a four-door white vehicle with tinted windows, newer model, that was going towards Maryland. Fire shots from the gas station. 302 Sam, stop that. Four-door white vehicle with tinted windows, going towards Maryland now.
A white Mercedes vehicle?
Yeah, one ticket said white Mercedes, and then another ticket said white newer model four-door vehicle. So possibly the Mercedes.
He was rushed to the University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition and pronounced dead.
In the first incident, Chicago police say 2 male suspects pulled up in a white Mercedes and confronted the 29-year-old man before one of them opened fire, hitting him in the chest. He was rushed to University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition and later died there, according to Fox 32 Chicago. The second, an hour later, roughly an hour later after the shots on Drexel, officers responded to the 5300 block of South Kenwood Avenue, where a 30-year-old man had been shot once in the chest and twice in the wrist. He also was taken to University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition. Police said no arrests have been made in either shootings, according to Fox 32 Chicago.
The shooting happened in broad daylight, in a busy area with witnesses nearby, and crime scene footage began circulating on social media within hours, moving from TikTok to Instagram to X and Facebook before the day was over. Images from the scene circulated quickly on social media, spreading before many people outside that circle knew who he was. The speed at which footage from a shooting scene in Chicago spreads online is its own kind of document. Within hours of the dispatch calls going out, before any news outlet had published a verified report, the images were already being shared, screenshotted, and re-uploaded with commentary across TikTok, X, Instagram, and Facebook. This is how Chicago drill deaths exist in the public record now, not through official channels or press conferences, but through a decentralized network of accounts that move information faster than any institution can. The aftermath footage of Michael Rixey's shooting was on multiple platforms before any news organization officially confirmed his name. By the time the Chicago Sun-Times published its report the following day, the social media ecosystem had already produced tributes, theories, reactions, and breakdowns. The speed of that spread is not incidental to the story. It is part of what makes the deaths in this scene function differently from those in other homicides. The people watching from the outside see it, and it all feeds back into a cycle that keeps the official investigation several steps behind. Police stated the 2 incidents were not confirmed to be related. The second victim survived. The investigation into Rixey's death remained the primary focus, and early reporting described police as treating it as a targeted shooting, though the Chicago police have not publicly confirmed a final motive. No arrests have been made, and no suspects have been publicly named. The Chicago Police Department has not officially confirmed a motive, a gang connection, or any link to Little Mikey's post-release activities. For now, the case remains an open homicide investigation built around eyewitness accounts and a suspect description involving 2 black males in a white Mercedes. What spread across social media almost immediately was a theory that the shooting involved someone Lil Mikey knew, not a random stranger. That reading was driven partly by reports of an argument before the shots were fired, and partly by how people in that scene interpreted the situation, but it remains separate from anything police have officially confirmed.
First off, I'm gonna say RIP my little brother. RIP Jaro City, Little Mikey. Condolence to his mama, his loved ones, to everybody that love, bro. Chicago is a dangerous place, so this morning Jaro City Little Mikey was shot and gunned down on 63rd and Cottage Grove, and it wasn't by an op. I'm gonna get it to y'all raw. Chicago is known for backdoor. Can't give y'all specific details and none because I wasn't there. But just know an altercation happened between him and someone else that he thought he was cool with, and was fired, and Little Mikey was pronounced dead at the scene.
In that video, Billionaire Black said the shooting was not done by ops and described it as something involving someone Lil Mikey thought he was cool with. That does not establish guilt or confirm motive, but it does show how someone from that circle was publicly describing the shooting within hours of it happening.
One of the details that circulated in the hours after the shooting was a recorded jail call that surfaced, reportedly made from Cook County Jail by someone who had just heard the news. The conversation was raw, unguarded, and captured in real time the kind of grief and disbelief that spreads through a circle when someone they know gets taken out.
Hello. What's up?
No, ma'am. Everything's fine.
What's up? What you on?
Nothing, man. My feelings just a little hurt.
Why? What happened?
So, you need assistance on
They killed Mikey, man.
Looks to me like you probably.
Lil Mikey?
Yes.
How'd you do with this?
Jaro?
Yes.
I did it.
Shit! Damn! Shit! Oh, me! What did I do that? Damn, it's going on in the trenches. It's going on.
Well, you tweaking me and Abel finna speak about that.
You really think you're gonna protect
Damn!
No.
Mate. They got your boy. They got you. Damn.
Y'all recording.
What he did?
Y'all record. Guess well. By the gas station on 63rd and Trace.
Damn, what's going on? I know they hurt.
Nah, they.
Little Mikey from Jaro just died.
The call references the gas station on 63rd and Drexel, matching the area where Michael Ricks was killed that morning. More than anything, the clip captures how quickly news of the shooting spread among the people connected to him. The viral framing overstates the timeline and the certainty. Lil Mikey had been home for about a year and a half, not just days or weeks, and no official record ties the shooting to any specific diss, interview, or post-release act. The most frequently repeated online version is that he returned to Jaro City, stayed visible, and carried the same energy into the same environment. But that is still a public reading of the story, not an officially established motive. What people close to that world say openly is that returning to Jaro City with the same energy and the same affiliations meant stepping back into the same dangers he had left behind. For someone returning to the same set, the same rivalries, and the same public identity, prison did not function as a reset. It functioned more like an interruption. That version of the story requires a very specific set of conditions. Somewhere else to go, something else to build, people around you who are invested in a different outcome, and a neighborhood that has changed enough to allow for it. Woodlawn in 2024 was not that neighborhood. Jaro City was not that circular. And Little Mikey, by every account from the people who watched his interviews and his social media after he came home, was not presenting himself as someone who was looking for an exit. He was presenting himself as someone who had survived a long stretch and come back to re-enter the life he had left behind. In Chicago drill, music, interviews, and social media often become part of the conflict itself. By sitting down for interviews, previewing music, and making himself visible again, Lil Mikey was not just returning home, he was re-entering a public record that people around the world watch closely. His No Jumper interview, recorded in February 2025, covered his beef with Billionaire Black,
his thoughts on J. Maine's movements, his time in prison, and his return to the streets. No Jumper is not a neutral platform. It is one of the most widely watched interview shows in drill and street rap culture, and sitting down there carries a specific meaning. It signals that you are active, that you have something to say, and that you are comfortable making yourself and your position visible to an audience that includes both your allies and your opponents.
You can't say that though, because when he first got out, you did an interview with him and
yeah, but that,
so
that,
you was on him for a little bit.
That wasn't like, that was my friend growing up and shit, you feel what I'm saying? So I'm hearing all the bullshit that's going on surrounding his name and surrounding what he got going on. So for me, I'm the type of person, I'm not gonna talk behind your back or talk from a distance. I'm gonna have you pull up on me, I'm gonna pull up on you and tell you how I feel, and if I'm gonna do my research on you myself, and then that shit come back, I'm gonna start what you completely.
So that was more the situation while you and Butter fell out.
Yeah, cause he was doing all that goofy, like that, and he had all that shit on his name. And I'm getting out of jail, and I'm hearing it while I'm in jail, and I get out of jail, and I'm seeing how he moving. No, I can't be surrounded with that.
What was it specifically that pushed you over the line when it came to Butter?
Because he did a vlog in Jaro City and all this and all that. That shit wasn't that shit about. Yeah, he was around there and shit, but he wasn't where he's supposed to be there. You get what I'm saying?
So it wasn't taking the stand with the whole duck trial and everything like that?
That shit played a part in it too.
Okay.
I thought that wouldn't that play a bigger part than
that played a part too. That played part too.
Yeah.
That played a big ass part.
So he did two different vlogs on the block, because he did the On the Couch, which was at nighttime.
Yeah.
And then he did another one, and I think it was like FBG Pressure. He was out there, or no, it was some actually.
No, that was the same vlog.
That's the same vlog.
Yeah.
Cause I seen like two of the people from Jaro saying that that Butter ain't from out there. Who, those your homies or something?
Probably. Oh, which one? Let me see.
It was just like two dudes from out there, and I think I asked Butter about it. He said it was like this little shorty. He cool with him.
Man, ain't nobody cool from around there.
But he was just on there on the couch, like he was just out there and shit.
That's not.
And people knew the situation.
No, that's not how that went. That's not how that went.
So what's the timeline?
He said he supposed to came to where everybody be at. If you from around there, you know where to come, bro. Yeah. That wasn't the place to go, bro. You feel what I'm saying? And then for him to say he get on the internet trolling to my what he done did to my little shorties and all that, you ain't did nothing to nobody, bro. Like, you ain't did nothing to none. Like, I don't you know.
Does it bother you seeing him become so famous and beloved on the internet? People just craving his interviews and.
Hell no, I don't hate him.
Okay.
Little Mikey chose to do that interview knowing who was watching. He spoke about ongoing conflicts, his history with specific people, and where he stood. That is a deliberate act of public positioning, not an offhand conversation. In the world of Chicago drill, what you say in an interview is not separate from the conflict, it is part of it. It establishes your identity, signals your allegiances, and tells people on the other side exactly where you are and what you think of them. Coming home after 13 years and doing that interview was a statement. It said clearly, I am back. I am still the same person, and I am not going anywhere. He did not present himself as someone who was trying to exit that world. He presented himself as someone who had come back to it after a long absence and was picking up the thread of the life he had left. The interview suggests he was still closely tied to the identity and environment he had left behind.
As of April 14th, 2026, the Chicago police have made no arrests and named no suspects in the murder of Michael Ricks. The investigation remains active. His music is still out there, and Bus Your Fi, the track he was previewing before his death, is reportedly still set for a posthumous release.
Crack crazy nigga. 2-5 noise go crazy. I'm from the Bus Your Fi. Won't chill my straight no slide. Nigga know we ain't new to this, we do shit all the time. It can be hot and cold outside, bro, no still gon' crush your ride. I'm back rapping, cuz trapping. Then they told me time to tell. Then my time for nigga was cracking. I ain't got time for that crashing. I'm challenged for some action. Try to get top on this little fan.
29 years old and had spent nearly half his life in prison. When he came home, he stepped back into a world that had not changed enough to give him a different ending, and in broad daylight on Chicago's South Side, he was shot and killed by someone he apparently knew well enough to argue with first. What is confirmed is the outcome. Michael Ricks, known as Jaro City Little Mikey, is dead, and the people who shot him have not been caught. And the neighborhood that produced him, the beefs that defined him, and the environment he returned to after 13 years are all still there. What do you think matters most in this story? The years he lost inside, or the world he returned to when he came home? Let me know in the comments, and if you want more breakdowns like this one, there is another video on your screen right now.